I don't feel like eating anything you make.
My son Robert's wife, Sarah, whispered to me in a voice only I could hear, but I ignored her. Today is my grandson James's birthday party, and we've invited relatives to celebrate in a big way. I wasn't going to let Sarah's opinion ruin the day. I didn't care about her and carried a platter with hot dogs on it. When Sarah saw it, she stood up and started shouting.
What is that? You're really going to serve that? I don't want to eat such tacky, disgusting food. I've had enough.
She grabbed the platter of hot dogs from my hands and slammed it down on the table. The relatives looked at her in shock. The plate shattered into pieces, and the scattered food stained the relatives' clothes, prompting them to angrily scold Sarah. Robert stood up and tried to calm her down by placing a hand on her shoulder.
Sarah, calm down.
Shut up. And why are there so many country bumpkins here? I'm so disgusted I could puke. I never should have come.
She grabbed another plate of food from the table and threw it at me. At that moment, I felt more creeped out than angry. You seem to be mistaken, but I didn't make this.
What? Then who did?
I did.
Mom's voice was so loud that the glass sliding doors rattled, something you wouldn't expect from someone her age. My name is Emma. I was born into an ordinary family and lived without any significant incidents. Since I was able to study reasonably well, I didn't have much trouble with college entrance exams. At college, I enjoyed a fun campus life surrounded by close friends and graduated without any issues. After getting a job at a local company and spending busy days, I met the man who would become my husband. It seems we both fell in love at first sight. We started dating right away, and within about a month, we decided to get married. My husband was a wonderful person, so I was very proud. With the blessings of family and friends, we had a beautiful wedding, and soon after, I gave birth to our son, Robert. It was my first time raising a child, but with my mom's help, it wasn't difficult. I thought to myself, what a smooth and fulfilling life this has been. But maybe I was getting too comfortable. I was starting to feel bored with life. It's at times like these that people often fall into life's traps. It all began when my husband started coming home late. Then, the number of his business trips began to increase unnaturally, and he was away from home more and more. I tried to ignore the growing suspicions in my heart. I clung to the naive belief that he would never do such a thing, but the truth turned out to be far more cruel. It wasn't long before I found out that my husband had been cheating on me with multiple people. I discovered it only when one of the partner's husbands stormed into our home. At first, my husband didn't admit to his wrongdoings, but as more evidence came to light, he broke down crying like a child. In the end, we got divorced, and I became a single mother, raising Robert on my own. At that time, it felt like my life had plunged into darkness. I had never faced any hardships or setbacks before, so I didn't have the strength to fight back. I was too caught up in my own arrogance to reach out to my friends for help. Even though I desperately wanted help, my foolish pride got in the way. But that's when parents come to the rescue. My mom didn't blame me or try to comfort me. She just said one thing over the phone.
Emma, you have me and your friends, but Robert only has you.
My mom's words gave me the wake-up call I needed. With that, I made up my mind to raise Robert well. To do that, I decided to let go of my foolish pride and rely on those around me, and with the help of many, I raised Robert. Robert never had any major injuries or illnesses, and he always did well in school. After that, he went on to high school and then attended the local university, graduating without any issues. He got a job with a local company and moved out to live on his own. When I looked around Robert's empty room, I couldn't help but shed some tears. I felt a bit of sadness, but the sense of accomplishment was much stronger. However, there was one thing that worried me about Robert. It was that, like me, he had never experienced any major failures. If he ever faced a significant setback in the future, would he be able to handle it? That was my only concern, but I was prepared to support him when that time came. After Robert became independent, I decided to move out of the house and return to my childhood home. The house felt too big and lonely for one person, and with my dad gone and my elderly mom living alone, I was worried about her. But when I got home, I realized those worries were completely unnecessary. Mom was just as energetic as ever, busy working all the time.
Emma, if you have free time, get moving. Earn as much as you can.
Yes, I got it. With exchanges like this, it almost felt like she was the one taking care of me. Even so, she seemed happy that I was back, and when I wasn't working, we would sit together and reminisce about the old days. A little while after Robert became independent, I got a call from him.
Hey Mom, it's been a while. How are you doing?
Thanks to you, I'm doing well. What's up? Did something happen? Since Robert used to live at home and rarely stayed out, having a conversation over the phone felt surprisingly refreshing.
I was thinking of spending my next vacation at home.
Well, that's wonderful, though I can't promise any special treatment. Even as I said that, I was secretly thrilled. There were so many things I wanted to ask him, like how his job was going and how he was getting along with people.
All right, I'll let you know when I'm on my way.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Take care on your way here. As soon as I hung up the phone, I started planning in my head. That room should be fine for him, but I'll need to tidy it up. And I should think about the meal plan too. While I was muttering to myself, my mom started talking to me.
Is Robert coming home? Well, we've got a lot to prepare then.
It seemed like my mom got excited as soon as she heard Robert would be visiting. Mom, Robert's my son, so I'll take care of the preparations.
What are you talking about? Robert loves that dish I make. I'm definitely cooking it for him.
At that point, there was no convincing her otherwise. We cleaned up the room so Robert could relax and went shopping for groceries. Having something to look forward to really is a good thing. It's funny how it lifts your spirits and makes everything around you seem to sparkle. Finally, the day arrived. I went to pick Robert up at the station, and we headed straight to our house. When I saw him again after so long, he looked much more mature, a fully grown man. At home, my mom was eagerly waiting for us. We were all so happy to be together again. The table was filled with dishes that my mom and I had prepared. As we ate, we talked about what we'd been up to, and time flew by. Just as our conversation started to wind down, my mom suddenly asked Robert,
Robert, have you found someone special?
Robert blushed slightly and looked down. The thought that he might have really found someone made my heart race with excitement. Robert, you're not seriously.
Yeah, actually, I've started seeing someone recently.
My mom and I couldn't contain our joy and burst into cheers. From that moment on, all we could talk about was his new relationship. Though a bit embarrassed, Robert answered all our questions. Apparently, she works at the same company, and they hit it off right away after meeting.
Actually, the real reason I came back was to tell you about her. I'm thinking of getting married eventually.
Really? Oh, I'm so happy.
That's wonderful news. This has turned into a great vacation.
My mom was tearing up with joy.
I'll bring her on my next vacation.
He said that with a shy smile, and in that moment, he looked so young, reminding me that no matter how grown up he is, he'll always be my son. That wonderful vacation passed, and then, 6 months later, winter arrived. Just as Robert had said, this time he brought his girlfriend home. Outside, the snow was falling heavily, turning everything into a white wonderland, completely different from before. My mom and I sat across from Robert and his girlfriend, both of us with serious expressions.
Let me introduce you properly. This is my girlfriend, Sarah.
She greeted us politely.
Nice to meet you. I'm Sarah, and I've been dating Robert. Thank you for having me.
My first impression was that she had the air of a refined young lady. She seemed a bit quiet, but her words were polite, and she had a gentle expression. I immediately liked Sarah. I am glad I could meet you.
Well, I'm glad too.
At first, our conversation was a bit awkward. But as time passed, we all started to relax and enjoy the conversation. Seeing the two of them sitting together, I thought they made a perfect couple. She's really wonderful. Why don't you two just get married soon? I teased them, but deep down, I truly wished for them to get married. They both blushed, but didn't seem entirely against the idea.
Well, if Mom's saying that, maybe we should just sign the marriage papers right now.
Should we go get them? We joked like that for a while. Not long after, the two of them got married. The wedding was beautiful, and I felt incredibly happy, but there was also a small worry lingering in my heart. For some reason, I couldn't stop thinking about the time I divorced my husband. Even though I knew Robert was different and that Sarah was a wonderful person, I couldn't shake that uneasy feeling. However, contrary to my worries, their marriage went smoothly. Soon after, Sarah got pregnant, and they had a son, James. He was my first grandchild, and I was completely smitten. As I looked at James, I felt like that lingering worry inside me was finally starting to fade away. However, it was around that time that things started to go wrong. After the birth, Sarah began to avoid me. At first, I thought it was because she wasn't feeling well after giving birth. Still, I wanted to help, so I visited her, but she suddenly yelled at me.
Emma, stop. Don't touch James.
And that wasn't all. Every time I tried to do something, she would scream.
No, I'll take care of him, Emma. Don't do anything unnecessary. Why do you keep doing things on your own? Enough is enough. Don't mess around.
This left me completely at a loss. I understood that she might not like me doing things without asking, but her reaction seemed excessive. The way she spoke, as if she thought I was some kind of germ, really hurt me. So I decided to keep my distance from Sarah for a while. I thought that if I gave her some space, she would calm down, and eventually things would return to normal. But as time passed, Sarah still didn't reach out to me. Even though my first grandchild had been born, I hadn't had the chance to hold him properly. I wanted to see James, and I wanted to have a nice chat with Robert and Sarah too. But they never came to visit me. Even my mom seemed to be a bit worried. I considered calling them, but every time I remembered Sarah's angry outburst, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore, and I decided to visit Sarah myself. Of course, I knew it would be rude to show up unannounced, but I just couldn't help wanting to see them. As soon as I made up my mind, I quickly got ready and headed to Sarah's house. I knew it was in a residential area near the station, so I used a map app to navigate while driving. It was summer, and the park was filled with vibrant green. I suddenly remembered the day Robert came back home. I was so happy when I first heard about Sarah, but I never imagined things would turn out like this. The shadow of my husband flickered in my mind. "Just leave me alone," I muttered to no one in particular as I continued driving. A few minutes later, I arrived at Sarah's house. I parked in a nearby coin-operated parking lot and walked to the house. The neighborhood was lively with the voices of children playing outside, but I couldn't hear them. I was too nervous to notice anything else. My heart was pounding so loudly that I could hear it as I pressed the doorbell at Sarah's house. After a moment, Sarah's voice came through the intercom.
Who is it?
"Oh, Sarah, it's me, Emma. I'm sorry for coming without calling first." I tried to speak calmly, not wanting to upset her, but my attempt was in vain. As soon as she heard my voice, Sarah's tone changed drastically.
What? Why are you here?
"I was worried about you and wanted to make sure you're okay."
Shut up. Who asked you to worry about me? Go away.
"But I want to see James, and also..."
Shut up. If you don't leave right now, I'll call the police.
No matter what I said, Sarah wouldn't listen. I couldn't risk having the police called on me, so I had no choice but to leave. Walking slowly on my way back, I headed towards a nearby park. I wanted to see James, even if just for a moment, so I decided to call Sarah and try to reason with her. Ignoring the sweat running down my face, I sat on a bench in the shade and dialed her number. "Hello, Sarah."
What now? You're really creeping me out.
"Please, just listen to me."
Shut up. There's nothing to talk about.
Sarah was, as expected, hysterical. I tried to reason with her, refusing to be defeated by her harsh tone. "I just want to spend a little time together, that's all."
Enough already. I'm so tired of this. Let me tell you, Emma, I never liked you from the start.
Her words were so harsh, I could hardly believe it was the same person. "You never liked me? What did I do?"
Your very existence. You're just so poor and pathetic. No wonder you ended up divorced.
"That has nothing to do with this." I thought she had gone too far, and I started to get angry. "Whether you like me or not, we're family now that you're married. You can't talk to me like that."
Family? Don't make me laugh. I never wanted to work. I just wanted to get married quickly so a husband could take care of me. It just happened to be Robert.
Enough. How can you say something like that? You're horrible.
Shut up. Don't ever call me again. Go live out your days in the countryside.
With that, Sarah hung up. I couldn't move for a while, stunned by what had just happened. I never imagined she could be so cruel, and I was angry at myself for not seeing it sooner, but it was too late for regrets. With heavy steps, I left the park, got into my car, and drove back home. I thought about reaching out to Robert, but I didn't want to burden him with unnecessary worries, given how busy he was with work, so I decided to keep quiet. Instead, I vented my frustrations to my mom.
Time will change things. Trust the person Robert chose.
My mom said firmly. So I decided to quietly endure. Time passed, and James was about to turn 3. I called Robert. Robert, it's been a while.
Oh, Mom, it has. Sorry, I've been so busy lately I haven't been able to call.
It's okay, but I want to see James too, and isn't his birthday next month? I'd love to celebrate it at our home.
James would love that. I'll try to arrange some time off.
Robert didn't know anything about what had happened between Sarah and me, so he readily agreed to my suggestion. I could hear Robert and Sarah talking in the background on the phone. It was clear that she didn't want to see me. I could sense Robert trying hard to convince her. Finally, it seemed like Sarah gave in.
Sarah agreed, so we'll come over next month.
Great, I'm so happy. I'd like to invite the whole family to celebrate. Is that okay?
Of course. Sorry for making you go through all this trouble.
It's no trouble at all. I'm really looking forward to it. I was thrilled that I'd finally get to see Robert and his family again, so I quickly told my mom the good news.
Really? They're coming back? Well, we'll have to put on a great spread for them.
With that, Mom started getting excited. I got busy contacting all the relatives and inviting them to James's birthday party. Time flew by, and before I knew it, the day of the party had arrived. The house was surrounded by colorful flowers in full bloom. As relatives arrived one after another, Robert and his family finally showed up. James, now 3 years old, had grown and was walking on his own. Well, hello, James. It's so nice to meet you. I'm your grandma, I said as I knelt down to get a good look at James's face. But he quickly hid behind Sarah, probably scared of someone unfamiliar. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. That must have scared you.
I'm sorry, Mom. He'll get used to you soon enough.
That's all right. You must be tired. Why don't you go rest in the back? With that, Robert and his family headed toward the entrance. All the relatives were smiling from ear to ear. But Sarah was the only one glaring at me. I knew our Cold War was far from over, but since it was a celebration, I tried not to let it bother me. Besides, James was so adorable that her glares didn't matter to me. Since the house was full of my relatives, we had placed a large table in the center. I brought out the dishes that Mom and I had prepared.
It's been so long since I've had Grandma and Mom's cooking. I'm going to eat a lot.
James was looking at the food with curious eyes. But Sarah, on the other hand, frowned and kept her head down. When I got closer, she whispered just loud enough for me to hear.
I don't feel like eating anything you make.
I felt a bit irritated, but decided to ignore her. I wasn't going to let one person's opinion ruin the day.
I don't have much of an appetite.
Annoyed that I ignored her, Sarah raised her voice even louder, causing the relatives to look at her with puzzled expressions.
Hey, saying something like that. You must be tired.
Robert said, trying to calm her down with a light-hearted tone, sensing the tension. Sarah turned her head away in a sulky manner. I ignored her and went to bring out a large platter of hot dogs. When Sarah saw it, she suddenly stood up and started yelling.
What is that? You're really going to serve that?
The relatives looked at her in shock, but she didn't care and continued to rant.
I don't want to eat such tacky, trashy food. I've had enough.
She grabbed the platter of hot dogs from my hands and slammed it down on the table with force. The plate shattered into pieces, and the scattered food stained the relatives' clothes, prompting them to angrily scold Sarah. Robert stood up and tried to calm her down by placing a hand on her shoulder. However, she continued to glare at me.
This is disgusting food. You country bumpkins probably don't even know its origin. It's not fit for humans. It's fish bait.
Sarah, calm down.
Shut up. And why are there so many country bumpkins here? I'm so disgusted I could puke. I never should have come.
She grabbed another plate of food from the table and threw it at me. Her behavior was so extreme that she didn't seem like a rational person. At that moment, I felt more creeped out than angry. You seem to be mistaken, but I didn't make this.
What? Then who did?
I did.
My mom answered loudly to Sarah's question.
For crying out loud, I wondered what all the fuss was about. You've ruined the food I worked hard to make, and you call yourself a mother?
Mom's voice was so loud that the glass sliding doors rattled, something you wouldn't expect from someone her age. But Sarah wasn't backing down.
I don't care who made it. Don't serve such vulgar food. Are you trying to insult me?
Listen, these hot dogs are Robert's favorite. Sure, the origin might be a bit crude, but your behavior is far more vulgar.
Shut up. The only ones vulgar here are you. You ignorant country hicks.
Unable to bear Sarah's yelling any longer, James finally burst into tears. Robert quickly took James by the hand and led him to another room. But Sarah didn't even notice. She continued to rant incoherently at the relatives. At that point, I was truly furious with her. Everyone had coordinated their schedules for this day, and we spent a lot of money buying the ingredients. Cooking all the food was a lot of hard work too. I couldn't stand how Sarah was ignoring all those efforts. I slapped her hard across the face. The sound echoed through the room, and Sarah clutched her cheek, staring at me in shock. Then my mom yelled at her.
I don't recognize you as my grandson's wife.
The relatives, who all seemed to feel the same way, glared at Sarah in silence. But Sarah only became more hysterical, beyond reasoning. Her eyes were bloodshot, and she was spitting as she ranted, not hearing anyone. Just then, Robert rushed back in and grabbed her by the shoulders, shaking her.
Enough. If you hate it here so much, then leave right now.
Robert was clearly fed up with Sarah's hysteria. Finally, Sarah snapped out of it, stomped out of the house, got into the car, and sped away. After that, the place erupted into chaos. We had to clean up the food that had been scattered all over the floor. But the angry relatives were all making a fuss. What was supposed to be a birthday party had turned into a chaotic scene. But once again, it was my mom who put an end to it.
Everyone, quiet down. If you have time to talk, you have time to help clean up.
Her words snapped everyone back to reality, and they immediately started cleaning up in silence. Luckily, not much food was ruined, and there was still plenty left, including another platter of hot dogs. James had stopped crying and rejoined the group. We were about to restart the birthday celebration, but first, I apologized to the relatives. Everyone, I'm truly sorry. You all came together for this, and it ended up like this. I apologize. Robert stood beside me and also apologized.
Let me apologize too. I'm sorry for Sarah's rude behavior.
But no one blamed us. Instead, they praised us for standing up for ourselves. I'm really grateful to all the relatives. With our apologies, the matter with Sarah was considered settled, and after that, we all enjoyed the food and shared stories together. James was happily eating the hot dogs, which made my mom very pleased. All the relatives adored James. Despite the challenges during the birthday party, it ended peacefully, and everyone began to leave. We saw off each relative one by one until it was just the four of us left in the house.
There's still some cleaning up to do, right? I'll help.
It's okay. Sarah's probably worried, so you should head home. At the mention of Sarah's name, Robert let out a big sigh.
To be honest, I've been struggling with Sarah's behavior for a while now. I thought she was just exhausted from the childbirth, but she hasn't gotten any better.
Robert watched James playing with my mom. He seemed to be deep in thought for a while, and then he finally spoke.
After what happened today, I've made up my mind. I'm going to reevaluate my relationship with Sarah. I might even end up divorcing her.
I wasn't particularly surprised. In fact, I thought it was the right decision. It can't be helped. I thought my life was going smoothly too, and I ended up getting divorced. These things happen in life. I felt a bit of sadness as memories of my past came flooding back. I couldn't help but wonder if Robert was headed for a divorce because I had gone through one myself.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But I'm worried about James. Custody will probably go to Sarah.
There's no use worrying about that. Whatever happens, happens. Robert and I exchanged a glance and then chuckled. For some reason, a baseless confidence that everything would work out filled my heart. Less than a month later, Robert and Sarah got divorced. I was worried about what would happen with custody, but Sarah easily gave it up.
Having James would just get in the way of me remarrying, so I don't want him.
She left Robert's house and disappeared somewhere. So we completely lost track of her after that. To support Robert with his busy work schedule, I decided to move in with him. Robert might remarry someday, but for now, I thought it was best for him to focus on his career. Since my mom is elderly, she stayed at the family home. However, I make sure to visit the family home several times a year. She looks forward to those visits and seems to be staying active and healthy. James missed Sarah for a while after she was gone. But he soon got used to having me around, and now he seems very happy. A lot has happened, but these days we're living a very happy life.